Welcome to the Fantasy Fangirls podcast, where two sisters dive deep into beloved fantasy lore, characters, themes, theories, and more. I'm Lexi, older sister and fantasy lore nerd. And I'm Nicole, younger sister and romantic at heart. And today's bonus episode is all about book recommendations, where we are so thrilled to be joined by the amazing and knowledgeable Kayla, known for her romantasy recommendations. Before we dive into this conversation with Kayla and our TBRs just grow a mile long, a quick spoiler warning. Today's episode includes light spoilers for ACOTAR, specifically Book 2 Akamath, and tropes in Fourth Wing and Kindred's Curse Saga. We will also definitely be discussing tropes, vibes, and quick summaries of many books that she recommends, but there are no major plot spoilers of these books. The idea is to give you a general sense about the book before you read it, and so you know where to put it on your TBR. That is all. Next, we have Fantasy Fangirls, are adults who say adult things about adult books in general, which means this podcast is rated R. Some of the tropes we discuss are spicy friends, and you know what? We're three adult women. We're also probably going to cuss about them. So please be mindful of those little listening ears. Last thing before we talk book recommendations with Kayla. If you love Fantasy Fangirls and want more events, more content, more community, and so much more, please check out Fantasy Fan Club. We have 3 membership tiers that you can join. Get exclusive access to our super active Discord, tons of live virtual events, a book club, author interviews, discount codes, ad-free episodes, behind-the-scenes content, a welcome gift, your name shouted out on the podcast, and so much more as part of this incredible community. Join the party and learn more details at fantasyfangirls.com/fanclub. The link is also in the show notes. And really and truly, friends, thank you so much for supporting us as we've turned this podcast into our livelihood. It's all because of you. And now it is time to make our TBRs a mile long, to make it either love us or hate us, and hear about the amazing books that Kayla has to recommend. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kayla. Friends, Kayla is an absolutely fantastic content creator who recommends all the fantastic romantasy books in particular, but also other fantasy and some other books as well. And we hear you when you're always asking us for book recommendations and what should you read after ACOTAR or Fourth Wing or with these tropes and all of those things. And to be honest, as deep divers, we don't read all of the books. We just don't have time. And so we pulled in our friend Kayla to be like, hey, Kayla, share all the book recommendations you can with our friends. We're so happy to have you here. Yes. So real quickly, as we get started here, we would love to get to know you a little bit more, Kayla. So as we always do with any guests, we would love to do some rapid fire questions here with you. How's that sound?
Sure. I don't know how rapid I'll be, but I'll try to be as concise.
I was going to say, rapid for us is like a nice 5-minute answer.
Yeah.
So starting off, Kayla, what got you into reading?
Yeah, I'm kind of an accidental content creator, I would say. So in my personal life, I worked a corporate job, and I've always read maybe like 1 or 2 books a month. Historically, though, I read more, not mystery, but thrillers, occasional romance books. And then I discovered the Court of Thorns and Roses series about a year and a half ago. I would say Court of Thorns and Roses and Fourth Wing were my gateway books. And then from there, I had been following on Book Talk and just finding recommendations that way from just creeping around silently as an unknown user. And then those 2 series in particular started my love of fantasy books and got me really into reading.
Yes. Oh my God. And when was that for you?
Probably January, December of last year, so 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually almost exactly 2 years ago that Nicole read A Court of Thorns and Roses for the first time. She read it in July, August of 2023, and then she made me read it, and then, then we started Fourth Wing and all that kind of stuff. So it's anniversaries are coming up,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. All right. So what is your favorite book or series?
Well, to be basic, 2 answers. So to be basic, I would say A Court of Thorns and Roses, kind of anything in the Sarah J. Maas universe, just because it got me into it. And then probably my favorite lesser known series would be the Reign of Shadows and Endings, so the Legacy series by Melissa K. Rorich. I actually saw that you had Lady of Darkness as one of the picks for your book club this month by Melissa K. Rorich. Yeah. So I love her series, the Legacy series. It's kind of darker fantasy, and she's a really great author because she has these different worlds. So similar to how, you have a little bit of crossover between Sarah J. Maas's worlds, she does that with her series. So there's crossover between Lady of Darkness and Reign of Shadows and Endings, and you get those same feelings.
All right, what is your favorite way to read? Whether it's a physical book, ebook, audiobook.
Before I got a Kindle, I would have said physical book, aside from audio. I'm a huge audiobook reader, listener. It's how I finish as many books as I do. The other way I read is immersion reading. So I do a ton of immersion reading where I'm listening and I'm reading at the same time. That's the other reason that I've become such a fast reader. Yes. So I'll often sync up my Kindle and my audio. And then the reason I have so many physical books is actually usually just because I will get them as a trophy after I read, or obviously gifted by publishers. I don't think I could afford to read the number of books I did if I was reading physical books. And the other reason that I read on Kindle too is because I was a huge library reader before, and I found that I couldn't find any of the indie books that were being recommended online. They were never available at the library. I couldn't find them, or even when I would go to purchase them online, I couldn't find them, and so they were always available by ebook.
So today's topic is all about tropes, and we would be remiss if we didn't ask you in this rapid fire, what's your favorite trope? Or I'll say tropes.
Tropes.
Because I feel like picking
so I don't
one
know
is
I don't know if this is considered a trope. Is slow burn romance considered a trope? I feel like we've lost.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've lost the art of slow burn romance, kind of really dragging it along. I know you guys been reading Spark of the Everflame. I love multi-book. Give me my favorite trope, and I don't think this has a name, but it's the bait and switch. So, when you have the love interest in one book, and we don't know, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? And then it switches to a new guy in the next book, because it also adds to, you get the romance in the first book, but then you get more slow burn romance in the second book, and it's just...
I remember, I think it was one of your videos where you said that was your favorite trope, but you're also but I can't recommend any of those books to you because it's spoiling it. And it's
true.
Oh my gosh, you are right.
I actually have a ton of books on my page that I recommend. There are a lot of my favorites. I probably think I have maybe 7 or 8 series that have this specific trope. Sometimes you expect it, sometimes you don't. And I'm just read the books. Just read all the books.
So as a fellow mom, I know that you have children as well, right around the same age as mine. How do you find the time to read? That's a big question I'm always asked.
So for sure, not sleeping.
Yep, same.
When I'm really into a book, I do just have poor sleeping habits. But the majority of the books that I'm reading, it's audiobooks. So I'll be driving. My kids, their school is 30 minutes away. And so sometimes when I'm going to do pickups or doing errands, cleaning, cooking, my ears have very little idle time. So if I'm ever alone, just doing something, generally I have my headphones on and I'm listening to a book. And then I also find that just the immersion reading generally has made me a very fast reader. So when I'm listening and reading, this is going to sound crazy, but I'll listen and read usually at about a 3-time speed.
That does make sense because I've tried doing that, and I get up to it has to be at least a 2.
Yeah, because you have both senses working at once. I think it makes you just very fast. Your eyes are trying to move at your ear's pace, and that relationship there. Yeah, it just become.
Yeah, I'm in awe of both of you because I think the fastest I could do. What did we do for Onyx Storm?
We did 1.7, 1.7, and then we bumped it up to 1.8 because Kayla, when Nicole and I, we rented a hotel room and literally just holed up for 2 days to read Onyx Storm right when it came out because I needed to read it really fast and I couldn't be around my children. But that's what we did because I'm a really fast reader, and Nicole was like, "You are not allowed to read ahead of me," and gasp, but have spoilers because that might have happened when we were reading another book a long time ago, and. She still hasn't forgiven me.
No.
But yeah, so we were listening at 1.7 and reading, and it was slow, so slow for me.
But you guys both you are deep divers, right? I'm reading for vibes.
Yes.
I'm reading to have a fun time. I'm picking up on things still too, but not to the same extent where I'm analyzing line by line, right? I think I do know that when I read Onyx Storm, I wasn't reading that fast. I had a copy of the physical book. I got the audio for it because my physical book didn't even get delivered until 2 days later. But I did find that I was listening at a slower pace for that one.
Speaking of the Onyx Storm world, what Gaia quadrant would you be in?
I would tell people that I'm a dragon rider. Realistically, I probably would have fallen off the parapet. More likely, I don't know. Maybe a scribe.
Which Akatar court would you be in? Shift and World.
Same thing. I wouldn't have made it past the wall.
The Martex would have gotten you, huh?
Truly, I would like to say that I would be in Night Court. I don't think I'm cool enough. That would be my choice where I would like to be. I would like to be part of Night Court. I couldn't be in Winter Court. I get too cold.
Which book character would you say you're the most like?
I would probably be some kind of side character like Carrion in Quicksilver.
Oh,
minus him
good
being
one.
like a little, likes the time with the ladies, but more of the funny side character maybe.
All right, Kayla, last question here before we really jump into the meat of everything. What has been your favorite read so far of 2025?
Surprising, I would say the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown.
Lexi.
I know, that talk about being on my TBR, like that is at the top of my TBR.
It's
Like,
funny,
oh my
my
gosh.
top probably 3 or 4 series from this year are not romantic fantasy. They're all fantasy or contemporary books. And then one of the other series that just broke my heart into tiny little pieces and put it back together was the Boys of Toman series. So again, that one is more like coming of age and adult issues, but in a younger setting. So those would be my top series where I could physically not sleep. Like it was hard for me to put the books down to go. But that's usually how I rate my books. Isn't anything to do with anything except for how the emotional toll they take on me and if I can't sleep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing those rapid fire questions there, getting to know you a little bit, have a nice little warm up here. So now let's kind of move into the segment where we are going to be talking about, a lot of the times I know that you get this as well, where it's like, okay, I've now finished reading ACOTAR or Fourth Wing or one of the other real mainstream fantasy books that people kind of like, that's what gets people back into reading or gets people into reading in the first place. And then it's like, okay, my world is open. Give me all the book recommendations now that give those similar vibes. So passing the microphone over to you here, Kayla, let's start with Fourth Wing. Please share your recommendations that give Fourth Wing vibes and also why those give those Fourth Wing vibes for
so
you.
When someone says, oh, I like Fourth Wing, I'm like, well, there's a plethora of reasons why you may have liked it. And I think often it comes down to maybe, well, obviously the romance, but there's the found family element and then also the academy setting. And so for that, Blood and Steel, so 4-book completed series. You guys haven't read Blood and Steel?
I haven't read it yet,
So we have a female warrior, or we have a female main character. She wants to be a warrior and she gets paired up with this guy, Wilder, who's kind of broody and he has to train her. So we have a mentor-mentee relationship, but at an academy setting again. We have magic. They are humans, so there's no fae. But we also have like really great found family that you will find in the Fourth Wing series. This one is probably on the spicier side. There are some growing pains with book 2 and 3, but overall I think it's a really good series and it's complete.
Is it a trilogy?
4 books.
4 books.
I'm literally taking notes with a pen
I was
and
going to
paper.
say, I also have my notes app open.
Number 2, a book series that recently, I don't know if you guys seen it, it's been blowing up on TikTok, Direbound. So the first book is out in this one. I call it just Fourth Wing with Direwolves. I know that's probably a disservice to the book because it is more than that. But they do the mind speak with the wolves. And there's some interesting twists in it that maybe you won't expect. And again, like you have the academy setting. Another one I would say is On Wings of Blood. And this is more of a vibes read. So, don't come at me for the sentence structure and the grammar. This one was also recently released on audio too. But we have a female main character and she wakes up, she's on a pile of corpses, she doesn't know why she's there. And she gets put into an arranged marriage with this guy who's a vampire.
I love arranged marriage. Oh my God.
So good.
Yes.
So she gets put into this arranged marriage with this guy that's a vampire, and everyone people at the school aren't very nice to her. So we have this enemies to lovers situation going on again. What else? Oh, Kingdom of Shadows and Wings. This is so Fourth Wing coded. We have these, I forget what they're called. They're not well, there are some dragons, but there's these other kind of flying creatures who are dragon-like. They're not wyvern.
I was going to say that.
I was about to be like, can you tell me more about these dragons?
We have a dark and broody instructor who has to train her. So what happens actually at the beginning of the book is her sister, it's called Kingdom of Shadows and Wings. Her sister is at this dragon riding school and she goes missing and no one knows where she is. And she has to go and take the place of her sister as part of the contract. And she's afraid of flying, of course. And so there's twists in this one. I think 3 books in the series are out. I've read the first one. I plan on reading the next 2. That one's really fun, and you've got the flying creatures. If you're looking just for dragons, like if that's why you liked Fourth Wing, I recently read Fear the Flames. the male main character is such a flirt. They have to quest to find their dragons, and they become reluctant allies. What else if you like dragons? Obviously, you guys have read.
I'll go ahead and throw in, right now we are reading
Yes.
Fireborn for our June book club, and it's definitely more YA, and it's, at least as far as I've read it so far, I'm only about
I finished
halfway
it.
through.
It is
Okay,
definitely more YA.
Yeah, it is YA, and it's a little bit more like How to Train Your Dragon-esque, but it also has very much those same, like, I'll say societal hierarchy, like who should be in charge and like the way that the world should be, and it really kind of makes you like inwardly think, very much in the similar way that Empyrean does. So, and then they also do have like bonds with their dragons. It's not the same kind of talking bonds, but it is a little bit more like When the Moon Hatched kind of bonds with the dragons. Yeah.
Any other Fourth Wing vibes before we move into a different beloved book series?
Silver Elite would be one that I would also think has that fourth wing element where you have the academy setting, you have the dark and brooding male main character, a little bit dystopian, minus the dragons. But I feel like it kind of hits a lot of those marks. And again, more of a fun vibes read.
All right. The A Court of Thorns and Roses vibes. If you have finished the ACOTAR series, what do you recommend next, Kayla?
So when someone asks me, when they say I liked A Court of Thorns and Roses and they lean into the romance side of it, like they love the romance, 100% Trial of the Sun Queen. I describe it as The Bachelor meets The Challenge, which I don't mean to.
Wait, what is the challenge? What's the challenge?
So almost like Survivor. The Bachelor meets Survivor.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we have.
Okay, I'm invested here. Tell me more.
There's this female main character. She is in a prison. And I think the first line of the book is "Bitch stole my soap." Like, you are into it from the first line of the book, and she gets taken from this prison, and she's told, like, "Hey, you have an opportunity to win the hand of the king, and you have to compete in this competition." And the trials, like, there's so many books with trials, and I'm don't want to say like I'm kind of over it at this point, but the trials are so good. Like, you will be in it. So she is in it with a certain number of other fae females and has to compete. And then, so that's the first book. And it's so hard to describe the rest of the series without giving too much away. But you have all of the lore, all of the fantasy elements. Things start to go for real twists as you go on. Great romance. And it is slow burn. It is slow burn over multi-book. So that is definitely one of my favorite series to recommend. It's like so bingeable.
I feel like you just described my favorite things of that was like
Nicole,
if you had
I'm
to
literally
list Nicole's
getting it
favorite
right
things.
now for us on Audible.
Yes, I think the first two books, if I'm not mistaken, the first two books are still free right now, like completely free on Audible with the membership. And then I think the second two books are on Kindle Unlimited. So you could technically just read them all. Yeah, another series I would recommend, definitely Serpent and the Wings of Night. So this is a multi-book series, but the first two books act as a completed duology. There's a little novella in between. And this was definitely the series that got me over my ACOTAR hangover. I read probably 5 or 6 books after finishing A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I just kept putting them down. And so this one, we have a female main character, and she has to compete in these trials against different vampires. And I believe it's that she's granted one wish at the end of the trials. Second book is a little bit more political, but overall, really good completed duology. And then if you like that, the second two books are an incomplete duology. They follow different characters, all part of the Crowns of Nyaxia universe. Mm-hmm. Another series that I would recommend would be Empire, Flame, and Thorns. And this one is increasingly getting more traction in TikTok, Book Talk. Incomplete series, 3 books, or the third book is actually coming out this week. So by the time this podcast airs, it will be out.
Oh.
But she is Fae, and he is a dragon shifting commander. And the dragon shifters are, higher up, like above, more elite than the Fae. And so she is competing in this tournament so that she can get her freedom. And he does not want her to win, and we don't really know why. And there's this push-pull between, they're like enemies to lovers. I think at one point he handcuffs her to his bed, not for the reasons you may think. He just
Don't get me excited like that,
Kayla. But like a fun, so you have dragons, you have fae, you have trials, you have romance, you have twists. Some you might expect, some you might not. So that one's a really fun one. And that one's also on Kindle Unlimited and also on audio. You should know that like 99% of the recommendations I give are going to be on KU because that's the main way that I read. So people are always like, can you make a list of KU? And I'm like, it's almost every single one of these books. House of Beating Wings is also, I think, a lesser known one. So that's a 3-book completed trilogy. There are some books that have been also put out that are like prequels or tangential to the series. But again, like really cool world where we have fae, demi-fae, shifters, and the female main character is absolutely in love with this guy who's a prince. And meanwhile, someone comes up to her and they task her with finding these crow statues. I know it sounds weird. So she has to go on a quest to find these crow statues, and the world is really immersive and cool. Like we have these, because some of the shifters are crow shifters, so we have this houses in the sky, lots of twists, and again, like slow burn multi-book romance, which is my jam, as I've mentioned. And then
Us too.
Yes.
yes, more recently, I would think I feel like Shield of Sparrows had ACOTAR vibes.
I would agree. Like
I could see that,
I
yeah.
could definitely see that. Yeah.
Oh man, the beginning, like I say Shield of Sparrows, the beginning and the end of that book, like 6 stars for me. The middle was still really good. It was like a little bit of a slow pace. Somebody was like, oh, it's kind of like a cozy fantasy, but with monsters. And it's like, absolutely. But like the book, it gave me such Witcher vibes, and I'm a huge Witcher girl. And oh my gosh, I loved it so much. Yes.
So good.
All right. So now another big question that we are often asked, and I know you are too, is recommendations for completed series. Because I know Nicole and we particularly lean toward incomplete series just because we love our theories. We love all of that kind of stuff. And we also understand that sometimes people need some completion in many different ways.
Yeah, they do.
I will preface by saying, people always ask me, like, is this complete? And I will say that if it is an indie author, I always strongly suggest to read as the books come out, just because sometimes you need that support to be able.
We are wholeheartedly on that team
to
too.
be able to complete their series. But I definitely have some favorites that are complete. So Trial of the Sun Queen, which we talked about, Blood and Steel, which we talked about is complete. Zodiac Academy.
Oh my god! At some point, we're gonna just have to read it.
That's a favorite of mine. Depending on how you want to plunge into the series, my good friend Jamie has a recommended reading order. I tried to follow it, but I truly only read like the core 9 and a bit of the prequel. Zodiac Academy is one of my guiltiest pleasures. I love it.
Is it? Or because I've
No.
heard different things.
No.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Okay.
The way I've described it before in my videos is it's like if Love Island was at Hogwarts, and everyone at Hogwarts was pretty mean, like they're all in Slytherin house.
Remind me what the premise of Love Island is.
Like they're just hooking up with people.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
It really feels like you're binging a show on the CW, and you're like going back to your favorite show, and you just kind of read the book so quickly because it's just this fun bingeable series. But you have to get over the fact that it's intentionally cringy. Like there's Facebook rather than Facebook. There's Harley Dragonson. Like it's intentionally supposed to be like cringy and funny.
Yeah.
Because some people read it and they're like, it's so lame. I'm like, it's making fun of itself. Like it's not.
Yeah. It's like you got to go in with a certain mindset there.
But you are looking for.
We got to start reading it. Yeah.
100%. If you are looking for something more serious, though, Daughter of No Worlds. So that's I would recommend that.
Yes.
Yeah. Answer to Throne of Glass. Trying to think of some other series here. Eternal Rain, which I think is underrated. So this is by the Twisted Sisters, same authors as Zodiac Academy. But the vibes are different in this one. I feel like the writing it's not intentionally cringy. There's this world, this dystopian world where vampires rule, and they are 2 human girls, and they are chosen. There's once a year where there's this choosing day where humans are chosen for their blood, and they're taken away by these vampire princes. And then we also have this storyline where we have these Viking vampire slayers, like these that have awoken after hundreds of years. And so it's a 7-book, multi-book, completed series, and it's a fun time. I would actually say it kind of is in that same vein of like the fun ACOTAR vibes with there's lore and there's this puzzle we're trying to solve. So that's a good one. Favorite? Oh, Heartless Hunter, one of my favorite series.
Oh, yes.
I should say that was actually one of my favorite reads of this year. I love that duology.
Same.
It's one of my favorite YA book. I don't know if you'd consider that YA or new adult. It's on the cusp.
Right, that's one of those where it's like older YA, but
Yeah.
like I
Could not put it down. And the
way
down
that
really good
Kristen
too.
does it, we were talking to Kristen on a panel, and we were talking about just the concept of magic, and she really emphasized that she loves creating rules with her magic system, and then she has to find ways to like work around it. It is the best, like, enemies to lovers, enemies back to lover, like it's just like flip flop.
I love a betrayal. I live for a betrayal. I live for a betrayal. Speaking of betrayals, another one would be Bridge Kingdom. So that is like multi-book again with duologies, and you've got the arranged marriage. But the first 2 duologies are complete, and so you can read those. Love that. Same with the Ever King. If you like pirates,
yes,
taken. You have the Ever King. Like the first duology is complete, and then my other favorite YA trilogy, Once Upon a Broken Heart. Absolutely adore. Absolutely adore. It's like an adult fairy tale, and it's fun and it's whimsical. And whenever I'm feeling sad,
what was it called?
Once Upon a Broken Heart. So The Ballad of Never After is the second book, and just I love it so much. You would probably the writing is really big too. You'll feel like a Rhodes Scholar because you'll finish all 3 books in like 2 days.
I love it.
I love that so much.
Oh my gosh.
I really want to read the Ever King and Ever Queen duology. We love our indie authors here at Fantasy Fangirls. We know you do as well. Can you tell us about some underhyped indie authors who need all of the hype?
Yeah, well, I feel like almost all of the books,
yes,
I read are indie, and so I feel like I'm going to leave people out. So Melissa K. Rourke, who wrote the Legacy series, I think some of her work may be traditionally published in some countries, some it's indie. But Legacy is, Reign of Shadows and Endings is my favorite dark fantasy romance book. It has this really interesting world. So you have these Legacy, who are descendants from the gods, and then you have Fae, who are lesser than. And then you have humans. And we don't hear very much about the humans in the books. But Legacy are allowed to choose one Fae, male or female, to be their power source. And to be their power source, they have to bond to them. So emotionally, physically, there's like these 7 different, or however many points of like bonding that they have to go through. And so Tessa is our female main character who is chosen to be bonded to Theon. She has to live with him. They're basically treated like slaves. So if you read ACOTAR and you remember when Tamlin locked Farah in the mansion, and you felt that feminine rage. It is like that. But Tessa is more like Nesta, and she doesn't put up with stuff. And so it is just like the feminine rage in these books. Like you will want to throw your book, but the characters also have these amazing character arcs. There is all of these fantasy elements, and I mentioned that they'll draw pieces from her different series. And so it's fantastic. Another one of my favorite underhyped indie authors recently would be Kylie Snow. So she wrote The Lies of Lena, The Sins of Silas. So we have a female main character who is a secret witch, and she falls in love with this guy, and he doesn't know she's a witch. And something happens. So the beginning of the book starts out, they are teenagers, they are in young love, and then there's this time jump, 5 years into the future, and they are not together anymore. Things happen, and the tension and the angst and the yearning it's unparalleled. You will just like the yearning you can feel from the pages. And then book 2, things start to really happen. So you've got witches, you've got the undead, you've got lore, and it kind of throws everything together. The only piece I will say is that sometimes you'll see some colloquial speak in these books, which I think, it's her first series. She's an indie author, but it's so much fun. Like just screw off if you don't want to hear about pizza, but the vibes are there. It's such a good vibe. Yeah, Kayla Edwards, also great writer. She wrote City of Gods and Monsters. And
I've seen that one all over.
Yeah,
yes.
That series to me is like an answer to Crescent City. The first book actually feels very House of Earth and Blood.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like you'll read it and you'll be like, is this kind of like House of Earth and Blood? But then the second, third, fourth book, and this fourth book, which is coming out actually next month, so it will be completed series as of July. Those books really have their own legs. But the first book in the series, we have a female main character whose best friend goes missing, and she has to team up with this guy Darian, who is the most unlikely of allies, and he is completely morally gray to everyone except for her. So he's like the golden retriever for her, but he's also this badass who has this gang of devils, and it's all modern day, and so very Crescent City coded.
Yeah.
I'd also include, C.N. Crawford, who wrote the Avalon Tower series, like the Face by Academy series. That, again, also kind of ACOTAR coded. So her books are always semi-modern day. Like, I don't know if you would call it urban fantasy, but, like, you have, like, modern day France, but also with Camelot. Like, one of her books, the Face by Academy series, the female main character is vacationing in the south of France, and she gets abducted by her ex-situationship, and she has to go to this spy school to learn to spy on the Fae. And then the second book in the series, she's infiltrating Fae court, and they are just so much fun. And you have really great villains, like who's the love interest kind of thing. So I really like her. And then Marion Blackwood, who wrote the Empire, Flame, and Thorns series, which I talked about earlier. And then one of my favorite standalone fantasy books by Ella Fields, Amid Clouds and Bones. Love her book. If you were looking for something, if you liked ACOTAR actually, but you want something like dark, and you're a dark romance reader, you like things dark, that's one that I would recommend, is Amid Clouds and Bones.
Amazing.
Oh my God. You're over here saying like, I'm just a vibes reader, and then you're able to list the books and what happens in them. And
I feel like I kind of have like a little bit of I don't know if it's like a photographic memory, but
it's amazing. I was also going to say really great about sharing about the book, but not giving away spoilers.
I'm amazed by you
like,
right
I
now.
am just
oh
like,
my
well,
God.
it's funny because
tell me more.
Part of the reason that I started a TikTok was because like I love when I'd be scrolling, I just want to know, like, there's a place for people to give detailed analysis, and I like that. But when I'm, like, looking for a book, I want to just know, like, how did it make you feel, and what was it like?
Yeah.
Like, what are the books you like, and will I like it based on that? Without giving away too
Yes,
much.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, what's the general
See, I like
trend?
that. I like that with the first part, and then when I love a book, I want to go to the second. I want that deep dive analysis. Hence why Fantasy Fangirls exists. That's the only reason. But I'm the same way. I want to know, how did it make you feel? I'm not so much. Sometimes I'm not so much a tropes girly. Like if it's like, you know, like the bait and switch, like you were saying earlier. Like if it's kind of like more spoilery tropes, but like competition tropes, like stuff like that. I love knowing. Like I have so many stars next to Trial of the Sun Queen. I am going to be getting that. Or Lexi already got it. I'm going to be listening to that ASAP.
We already got it, yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, what about specifically BIPOC FMCs, person of color FMCs, etc.?
My favorite, as I've probably talked about this multiple times now, Trial of the Sun Queen.
Yes.
And Nisha J. Tooley, generally, I know she writes a lot of FMCs who are BIPOC, and she actually has a recent release too, Not Safe for Work, which is a contemporary romance, which I would highly recommend.
Oh, I've seen that all over the place. Yes, yes.
Yeah, some of those issues. But that's for sure like one of my top favorite series. Another one I would recommend definitely is Heavenly Bodies. And I should have recommended this one when we were talking about ACOTAR earlier, because we have a male main character in this one, Enzo, who is 1,000,000% Reese coded. And then there's just interesting astrological magic in the books as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. Book of Sin, which is an indie book. I believe the second book is out now. And the FMC, what is interesting about this one, though, female main character who has shadow magic.
Shadow Mommy! We love a Shadow Mommy!
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and then another would be Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. And so this one, the female main character has been sequestered on the moon, and her powers start to rise, and she has to train and catches feelings for a prince, and it's a really sweet one, too. I think I would consider that one more young adult-ish. Fantasy.
Speaking of like YA, Legendborn, I recently finished that. That is such a great spin on King Arthur, and it's also in modern day too. So I really love how contemporary it is and how historical it is too, with a lot of racial issues woven in so beautifully with how it is represented for the female main character.
Well, then I'll also throw in, because I know really high on my TBR is Music of the Night, which like just speaks to my little Phantom of the Opera heart, because I'm pretty sure I heard it described as Phantom of the Opera, but for Romantasy, and I said, well, that's high on my TBR.
Yeah, you were like, done.
I said done. So I haven't read it yet, but I've heard really good things about it.
Mm-hmm. Legendborn is so high on me. I'm actually shocked I haven't read it yet, but that was really high on my TBR.
Yeah, it's really good. Another great audiobook there, too. It is very dense with the world building and all of that, but it is a YA, so it's digestible, you know, but it is one of those where you really got to pay attention when you're listening to the audio.
I feel like that would be a really good immersive read.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, what about some LGBTQ plus themes?
Lies of Lena, which I just spoke about, definitely some representation in that one. One of my favorite relationships would be in the Zodiac Academy series. And it is with the two of the main characters.
Oh, good.
But I can't say who because it would spoil it. But they're probably like one of my top favorite relationships. So that would be Zodiac Academy.
Yes.
Blood and Aether.
Okay, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like he trains her, academy setting. This one is definitely more romance forward versus if you are someone who reads romance and you want romance in a fantasy setting, I would definitely recommend Blood and Aether. And then on my TBR this month, male romance is Wolfsong.
Well, I know something I've kind of talked about, not really talked about on the podcast, is Bonded by Thorns. This was a book club book for us, and it was described to us as like a Why Choose Beauty and the Beast fantasy book.
Oh, I've read this.
Yes.
Okay, that's on my list too.
Okay.
Bonded by Thorns by Briar. Yeah,
Yes.
it is Why Choose
By Elizabeth Helen, the two sisters. Yeah.
The two sisters. So I was like reading book one, and book one was very predictable. It was very like almost beat by Beauty and the Beast, but with more dicks in the
Penises.
air. But then when you get to books 2 through 4, I was like, oh my God, I am actually so invested in this love story. And it's polyamorous, but it is very like, one of the things I don't like about Why Choose is when it's one girl and multiple guys and all the guys are just obsessed with a girl and there's not like intermingle love. It's just like all of them with her. And I love that book because it is they are all in love with each other. And it's so beautifully done. I just think I love that book so much. I cannot wait for book 5 coming out soon.
Shifting gears here, it's not out yet. It's going to be coming out in March, but our good friend who people know of online as Hi Lady Joe, she is going to be releasing her debut called Chasing Starlight. I am so excited to see that and the representation in that one as well.
Well, then right now, my book development editor gave me homework to read Gideon the Ninth, which is more sci-fi than fantasy.
Well, I've heard really good things about
I
that.
fucking love this book. It is so well done. The main character is so funny, and it is a lesbian romance as well. And
Here, everybody, did you just pick up on that hint for Nicole's book there? Okay,
might
glad you
have.
found it.
but it is a really phenomenal book, and it's so entertaining. So I highly recommend Gideon the Ninth. I'm only halfway through, so don't come at me with spoilers. I don't want to be spoiled for the end of this book.
All right. Well, oh my gosh. First of all, thank you so much, Kayla, for all of those. We're still not done, though, here, friends. I hope that your TBR lists are just about as mile long, literally as mine is here, that I've been writing down this whole time. And so now we're going to try a different kind of rapid fire game, but this one is going to be focused on tropes. So, Kayla, we are going to share a trope, and you are just going to list off, it doesn't have to be a whole lot, but, like several books that do fall under that you first think of. So, are you ready?
Yes.
One bed at the inn.
Once Upon a Broken Heart. Although I will caveat with this one that they don't sleep in the one bed, which is probably the most angry. Oh, I'm supposed to be going fast. Okay, sorry.
You're good.
Knights of Obedience, Reign of Shadows and Endings, Avidian, Kingdom of Claw.
All right.
Oh God, you're so
Amazing.
impressive.
All
Okay,
right, slow burn.
Trial of the Sun Queen, House of Beating Wings, Road of Bones, Kingdom of Claw, Reign of Shadows and Endings.
All right. Who did this to you?
My favorite Who Did This To You outside of Heir of Fire in Throne of Glass would be Daughter of No Worlds, A Stark Few, good dystopian read, Rebel Witch,
Yes.
Lies of Lena, Phantasma, Trial of the Sun Queen, When the Moon Hatched.
Yes.
Oh,
I love this so much. Okay.
Beam right now. Love that. Okay, Apprentice and Mentor, or Mentor-Mentee.
Daughter of No Worlds.
Yes.
Riftborn. I guess Throne of Glass, like Heir
Yeah,
of Fire, we have that.
Yeah, I would throw that in there too. I haven't read Riftborn yet, but we were sent the book, and I did lend it out to my friend who loves Romantasy reading too. She came back to me being like, oh my God, give me more of this. And so I just gave her the sequel now too.
I think you need to get through, like Riftborn is one of those books where you have to read book 1 and get to book 2.
Like Avatar.
yes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
Like things really pick up on book 2.
Yeah. All right, Rivals.
I find that often enemies to lovers and rivals get like interchanged, and usually it's just rivals.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go Riftborn, Divine Rivals,
I love that book.
Forced Proximity.
like every single book.
Yay!
Truly. Right? Like Serpent in the Wings of Night. Like, when is it not Forced Proximity? The Ever King,
Yep.
Reign of Shadows and Endings,
Ooh.
Knights of Obedience.
A book that we haven't. I was just gonna. The Serpent and the Wolf. It's also arranged marriage.
Kayla, you must read that book.
Yes,
if you haven't.
yeah.
Okay, it's so good. Oh my god,
so good. That is one of my favorite reads of 2025. Is the Serpent
hands
and the
down.
Wolf. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. All right, found family.
I'll go with my top ones for this one. So I'll say Blood and Steel. They also have my favorite banter and side characters. Ooh. The Road of Bones has like the best found family. And then also, I would say Spark of the Everflame has really good found family.
It does, yeah. We just were covering that, or was it?
Episode 3. Yep.
It was, yes. And I did a whole thing about all of that, yeah.
So fun,
yeah.
Yes.
A love triangle done right.
I would say These Hollow Vows, which is, that's a very ACOTAR adjacent too.
Nice.
But that's definitely like a good love triangle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would consider this a love triangle, but The Rose Bargain.
Okay.
I've never heard of it.
20 on 10 recommend. Put that on your list. It's like Bridgerton. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to be doing rapid fire.
That's okay.
Who cares? Yeah, it's all good.
It's like Bridgerton if the queen grants magical wishes to the girls at the beginning of debutante season. It is so good. Highly recommend the audiobook. Absolutely loved it. It's young adult, but the tension and the romance are so good.
And what was the name of it?
It's The Rose Bargain.
The Rose Bargain, okay.
And I don't know if you would consider this a love triangle. Maybe The Wolf King.
All right, Kayla. One horse.
Clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop.
The Road of Bones has a really good one horse trope. I think was there one horse in Shield of Sparrows?
Yes, there was one horse in Shield of Sparrows, and also in Glow of the Everflame.
Yes, that is why I have my coconuts. Clippity clop.
Yes. Kingdom of Shadows and Wings, Wolf King, Metal Slinger has one horse.
Yes. Oh,
yes.
Metal Slinger so
Heather's
good.
So Vicious, which is like the darkest of the dark romance. Check your triggers, please, and Blood and Steel.
All right, fake dating / arranged marriage.
Okay, so obviously Shield of Sparrows.
Yeah.
Kiss of Iron is really good fake dating. Avalon Tower, the second book, has really good fake dating. House of Bane and Blood. White Horse Black Knights, another arranged marriage.
One Dark Window
Serpent
is
Moon.
another one. I throw One Dark Window has fake dating.
That's
Because I always
it
forget
does.
about that, but I love that book.
And then Fire in the Sky, Sophie Jordan. We also got Dragons.
Ooh, nice.
Arranged marriage. And did I say House of Bane and Blood? It's a completed duology. It's like Gangs of New York kind of vibes. 1920s New York, but with magic.
Oh.
And an arranged marriage. It's really good.
Oh my God.
This is so eye-opening to me because, like, I feel like we do kind of tend to get a little bit stuck in, like, the same kinds of worlds.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing all these other things. It's like, there's a whole new world of books out there. That
I know. I was like, this sounds amazing.
I don't know. I read so much that I kind of like get sick of. I'm like, okay, let's try something else.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love this.
I love it. All right. And of course, finally, enemies to lovers. And different books than have already been said.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say Zodiac Academy. Anything by the Twisted Sisters. So I just feel like they do enemies to lovers so well. And the character arcs of the men in the series, like you think, like I read the first Zodiac Academy book and I said, I will never like these guys. They will have to crawl over broken glass for me to like them. They are so, so terrible, like that kind of feeling, but then you fall in love with them later in the series. So the Zodiac Academy, also Neverkeep, which is their other series.
Okay.
Echo Fort just came out yesterday, which now it'll have been out for a little while, I guess, now when the podcast airs. And like the hate, there's like pure hate. And then maybe one I haven't talked about, Umber King. So this is a romance in a prison world. So she is sent to this prison world for 500 years for committing a crime, which maybe wasn't much of a crime, and she falls in love with the prison king.
One book series that we haven't talked about here today yet is the Plated Prisoner series, and that is another very dark one.
How have I not mentioned that?
Right? Like I've been thinking, it's like, how do I insert this? And I don't know if this would be like, I'll call it like the staple enemies to lovers, but it of course does have those vibes. And you are going to be wondering, where the hell is the MMC? I was going to say, I promise it was worth the wait for him.
If you guys had asked me my favorite audiobook, or
same.
Slade is the ultimate. Or if you had asked favorite book boyfriends, we would have a
Oh my gosh, yes. Plated Prisoner series,
So
that,
good.
like you said, the audiobook, anytime anybody's like, what is your favorite audiobook? I really do think that might be my favorite series. It does cover some really dark themes that is so well done. Raven Kennedy is phenomenal with character development for the female main character. I think that she might have my favorite character journey aside from Nesta Archeron. But oh my God, yeah. But yeah, just check the trigger warnings on that one. But that is one of my favorites. Yeah, forced proximity, enemies to lovers, all the things. Slow burn, that's another good slow burn.
I think there's going to be a few that come up. I like looked back on my bookshelf and I'm like, oh, there's like quite a few books that maybe we didn't talk about. But.
Oh darn, I guess we'll have to do this again.
I know, it's so sad.
Kayla, this has been so much fun. I know that it's been so much fun just getting to know you on social media, you know, like as a fellow content creator who we really admire and respect. Your book recommendations and how you portray them are so much fun. Real quickly, I know that this is a question that a lot of us do get, and so we'd love to hear your experience on this, is how did you become a full-time content creator?
Yeah, so very accidentally. I think I mentioned, like, I'm very much an accidental content creator. I started on TikTok, like, as a user, probably like 2 years ago. I started just watching book content there, and after reading the ACOTAR series back last, I guess it was January, I decided, I'm like, you know what, I'd like to contribute a little bit and like maybe post funny memes and just funny content. And so I started doing that on TikTok, just these silly little videos. And then I started to post my book recommendations too, and people started following along. And I'm like, you know what, like would be really cool is if I could maybe get like a couple free books from publishers for doing. And so it just kind of cascaded, and then has kind of become this thing that I never realized that it could grow into, or I never realized that I could make a career out of it. Or like, you know, I mentioned earlier that I started my Instagram a few months ago, and I had really put that off because I was worried about people in my personal life, like seeing my book content. And now it's kind of become a beast of its own, and I love it, and there's this huge community out there of like-minded book people. And so to say I had a strategy, I would be lying. It's just been kind of something that's accidentally happened. Yes. And I'm always kind of pinching myself. I'm like, I can't believe people are interested in these weird, you know, recommendation videos and my like quirkiness, but it seems to work. And yeah, it's been really fun to, you know, get involved and be part of this community.
Oh, absolutely.
Love
yes.
Oh, where can people, if they are not already following you, which we highly recommend, oh my God, where can they follow you?
So I am on TikTok, Kaila.books, and my name is spelled with an I, so Kaila.books. And then on Instagram, same handle. And then more recently, I'm also on Facebook. Yeah. So you can find me on all three platforms.
Nice. The saga of the Facebook. Oh my God. We commend you. We commend you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kayla. This was so fun. My TBR both loves and hates you a little bit right now. It's so great.
But really and truly, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time to share all of your book knowledge. Not even all of it. I know that we were just saying, like, we were looking behind the shelves and you're like, oh man, there's so many other books that I could say, you know, too. But that's great, people. Now you get to go and follow her on social media so you can see all the more book recommendations. Yay!
Thank you, as always, to our executive producer, Hayden, aka our sanity manager. And of course, as always, our content researcher, Brooke, for making the PDF for all of the books that you can find in the show notes that Kayla sent today.
Yes. So if you were like, oh my gosh, I need to know what these books are, you know, like you weren't able to write them down while we were talking, don't worry. We literally have a PDF to go with this episode for you. So after you be sure to follow Kayla on Instagram and /or TikTok, please be sure to follow us at Fantasy Fangirls Pod. We have lots of stuff. Maybe not nearly as many book recommendations as Kayla, but hey, that's why you follow her too.
Exactly. And last but not least, while you're clicking buttons and stuff, hit that 5-star button. It is so helpful, not only for this podcast, but for any other podcast that you listen to. And if you're feeling extra generous, please write that little love note in the review section.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Kayla. We will see you again soon. Bye-bye.